Hello friends, this is XL Casper and you are watching Kerbal Space Program live stream number 3. We just paused real quick. We last episode got our rocket into orbit. I was hoping to actually get all the way to the Mun last episode, but as you've seen, we had a few technical difficulties, and our rocket kept exploding in mid-flight. We lost no Kerbals last episode because this is unmanned. I try to launch unmanned when I can, save those Kerbals from dying off. This episode, we are going to try and make sure we get to the Mun and actually land next to our ore processing plant and see if we can't start producing rocket parts. So here we are in orbit over Kerbin. Again, I was going through my mods as we talked. I got through half of them. I'll give you just a quick rundown of what we went through last episode. We had B9 Aerospace, Bobcat, Quantum Struts, Clever Walruses, multi-wheel mod, crew manifests, editor extensions, exoplanetary launch pads, fuse techs, Kerbal attachment system, and Kethane. We just started talking a little bit about Kethane when we hit the wrapping up point. We had hit a lot over the 30-minute mark that I was shooting for, but I wanted to make sure we at least got into orbit and accomplished something last episode. Again, I apologize for the voice. I'm still a little nasally. For me, it is allergy season, and the allergy medication hasn't kicked in yet. So, without further ado, let's get our maneuvers set up to get us to the Mun. We're going to use MechJeb. I expressed my feelings on MechJeb last episode, so I won't go into them again. If you don't like MechJeb, you don't have to use it. I, for one, think it is one of the greatest tools out there. We are going to set up a Hoffman transfer, and this is one of the things I love MechJeb for. I don't have to calculate the Hoffman transfer. I can hit create node, and voila, there is my maneuver node. Now, if you think MechJeb is cheating, again, you can use MechJeb in manual mode. You can just create the node and then do it yourself, and it will save you from making out the node. Or you can do it all yourself and make your own node and go from there. I, for one, just let it go to execute, especially when I'm live streaming, because I have a tendency to forget to play and talk at the same time. I prefer to keep talking so you have something to listen to, and that means a lot of times I forget to play, and I'll blow right past my maneuver node and have to load and redo, and then you're watching the same thing over and over again. So this will at least help us get to the Mun and stuff, and I've done this countless times manually. And the thing about MechJeb I think you should do is try to achieve something at least once on your own, and then after you're able to do it, use MechJeb. It saves you from doing the same thing over and over and over and over again. Like it just can get really repetitive, and then you're like, well, I really want to get this to land on the Mun, but I don't really want to go through the whole launch sequence again, and maybe I'll do it later, and then you stop playing the game, and that's no fun for anybody. All right, so there's my rambling for today. I'll try to keep my ramblings down to a minimum. I have a tendency to go off on tangents and whatnot. I'll try to keep that to a minimum. But so with our mods, we were on Kethane. Kethane is a great mod. Again, I like having reasons to do things. I talked a little bit last episode about putting a Kethane plant up on the Mun. You do have to scan the celestial body, such as the Mun, for Kethane deposits. You don't just know where they're at, so that requires building a satellite with a scanner on it, and it gives you a reason to launch satellites. And with that, you can once you got your deposits mapped out, mine the Kethane and process it into fuel and whatnot, which is great for having refuel stations up on the Mun. Before I put exoplanetary launch pads, my idea was to have a space station in orbit around the Mun and to rocket fuel up and down with a reusable rocket from the Mun to the space station and use that as a refueling station to try and get to some of these outer planets. I think now the plan is that the Kethane will actually fuel our launch pad, and we will launch from the Mun to these other planets. I don't know how well that's going to work, but we're going to find out. We may still put into orbit a space station around the Mun just for fun, but we'll see. We'll see. Continuing on with the plugins, the next one in my plugin list is actually Kind Tech Animation. I'm pretty sure that's used by another plugin. I'm not sure which one. Apologies there. I did just notice one that I did not have on here. That should have been before CAS, and that is ISA Interplanetary IAS, I believe is what it is called. It basically lets you map out the world or the Mun. I do have some satellites in orbit. Let's see, what are you doing? Oh, our burn is already done. That was a quick burn. Here I am talking and not playing again. So after a Hoffman transfer, real quick, we are going to drop this back portion of our fuel tank here because we don't need it. You see me do a quick save real quick there. I always like to quick save before I detach in case I have my nodes over here on the side messed up and we split a whole rocket in half. We don't have to go back. We can quickly fix it here. Alright, so with the Hoffman transfer done, we're going to get into a little bit more doing and less sitting around. I should be able to finish my mods here though, my mod list. But let's get into orbit. We're waiting to get to the sphere of influence of the Mun. I find about 1,000 time gives me enough reaction time to stop my time warp. So there we are, drawing close. Alright, so the next maneuver we're going to do, we're going to change our periapsis. We want to go in orbit. I always like to go at 100 kilometers, just seems to be my standard orbit. You want to do it 60 seconds from now. So we're going to create and execute and let that start going. So yeah, ISA, it lets you map out what the world looks like. The other thing is those hidden features, those anomalies I told you about, it will map out where those are at so you can land at and see them if you don't already know or you didn't want to look online or you wanted to achieve something in order to find them. Put your satellite in orbits and orbit. There's my great English failing me again. Put your satellite in orbit and look around and see what there is. Next is Nova Punch 2. This just again adds a bunch of neat little parts and engines and all kinds of neat stuff. I like the extra parts because it seems that often when I'm in there, the problem I have is I'm looking for a specific type of part and I just can't seem to find it. So I often throw a part back on. Our next maneuver node is to circularize at a periapsis. And this will get us into a nice orbit around the Mun. Ta-da! And that will set us up nice to do our landing. It's always nice to do your landing from an orbit instead of just trying to land by directly flying into the Mun. I find my trips to the Mun always take pretty much the same mission plan. Achieve orbit, Hoffman transfer, change the periapsis and circularize orbit, and then landing. The next one is parts catalog. We talked a bit about that in the other episode. I won't go over that again. Remote tech. Remote tech is one of those ones that does nothing but make Kerbal Space Program more difficult. I know what you're saying, Axel Casper, come on, Kerbal Space Program's already difficult enough. My rockets always explode. What this does, though, and I put this on, it was one of the first mods I loaded because I wanted a reason for satellites. And what it does is it requires you to have, for unmanned probes like we have here, a communication network set up. Now, if we look at our map here, you'll see I have several satellites here in orbit around the Mun and a whole bunch over there around the Earth. I got 3 in geosynchronous orbit that we're replacing our old communication network with, and a bunch around Kerbin named ComSat, whatever. and I think I got 10 or 11 of them over there. Quite a few, at least 10. I've seen a 10 over there. I might have 11 satellites in orbit, and that's just a bunch. But what it does is that covers the entire globe. So anywhere in orbit of Kerbin, I can get a communication. Now your spaceport, your launch pad there on Kerbin is your command, communications control, and you have communication from there to anywhere you have. Basically, think of line of sight to the launch pad. However, when you get to the backside of the Kerbin, you don't have any line of sight because you go straight through the globe. So you have to launch satellites, and you have to bounce that communication from one satellite to the next to reach the back. And that's kind of what we're doing here too. We have two communication bases on MUN. We have one on this side and one on this side. You can see the two bases there. And they basically provide communication for most of the MUN. We do only have a couple of satellites in orbit. The reason I put two bases on the MUN, you can't get in geosynchronous orbit over the MUN. It is actually outside its sphere of influence, and so it just can't be done. So your satellites will move, and I could have did like I did on Kerbin and just launched a whole bunch of them at different angles and stuff to make sure I had good coverage, but it was just a lot of satellites, and I don't want that many flights going and legging things down. So I put one base there and one base there, and that gives us pretty good coverage. We have almost the whole moon covered. We do have some issues when we're directly in the poles and a couple areas here on the sides that we can't reach, and that's what these other satellites take care of. For the most part, we always have a signal. Once in a great while, when everything's just out of alignment, we'll lose signal. But for the most part, we always have communications. So I'm happy with that. I might try and clean it up a little bit, but we'll see. It works, and I'm all for it working. So there is remote tech. And while I'm jabbering here, let's get our next maneuver node up before we finish. Our next step is to actually land. Now MechJeb will keep track of your landing targets that you put in last time. And if we look, this puts us pretty much at our base here. I don't think I explained this. Let's switch over to looking at the MUN. Come on, switch over. There we go. This is where we're trying to land at. And we can see the GPS coordinates of everything. Now, I try to land close, but we don't want to land directly on. It looks like this coordinate here puts us, even though this is the last one we used, about 20 away from anything. We got 26 seconds here. This is, you read these degrees, minutes, seconds. So we got 11 degrees, 32 minutes, 26 seconds for our MUN rover launcher lander on the bottom. And then we have 39 minutes, I'm looking at the north one, 19 seconds for the drill platform, and 33 minutes, 21 seconds. Basically, each second is 1 meter. So 26 is our closest one. Oh, it looks like we might have some more listed that's not showing up. So we might want to go a little bit farther. Let's go just slightly west by about 20 meters. And that should get us close, but not directly on anything. And we may tweak that and relaunch if we're too far away or too close. I think that will do well. So we are going to back out of our map and, of course, save before we do a maneuver. Now, one thing here, if we have auto stage on, MechJeb will dump anything that doesn't have fuel. This here, if you notice, has no fuel. It also has no batteries or solar powers, which means our rover is not going to work. Oh dear. Oh, well, we are going to land it anyways. And we will re-land one going here in a better location. We will redo that at another time. So anyway, now that we just realized that, we are going to decouple. Man, that is a bummer. Yeah. All right. So, like I was saying with the auto stage, if we don't stage this right, if this didn't have fuel or this doesn't have fuel on it, MechJeb will tend to try and drop that stage when it's in autopilot. So to do that, we do stop at stage 1, which is the stage we want the last one for it to control, and now it won't drop that stage when we try to land. Otherwise, it would just kick our rovers off and going. Now, this isn't an issue when we have fuel on that stage, but because we have no fuel, it it would die. So or be kicked off. And you can kind of see that. I think I talked about that again in our first episode. I'm not sure if I had an example of that in the first episode or not, but yeah. So the fix for that is just to change it there, and you have to change it under descent guidance. It's an odd place to find it, but remember that MechJeb 2 is still itself. I believe it's in beta, and so it has bugs itself, and not everything is implemented yet. So, but I'm kind of happy with some of the bugs. I mean, again, computers can make mistakes. Look at the Pentium bug. For those younger viewers, check in the late 80s, early 90s, the Pentium bug in which it failed on specific calculations. So, all right. So right now, that was remote tech. We then have improved trusses and girders. A resource generation module as well. I'm not sure what that is. Must be used by another program. So what we have improved trusses and girders. Those are basically, you see me use some of those. It's basically the trusses and girders in different sizes. Again, looking for just the right piece and not finding it. What is up with our spinning? Wow. Let's see if... All right, MechJeb. Not sure what that is, but MechJeb likes to burn through RCS fuel. But so again, I didn't have a a good source for that, or a good part for those. I wanted smaller trusses and whatnot for attaching, and so we installed that. Next one is simple part organizer. I thought, wow, let's see, is this okay, so I made the mistake earlier. I credited part catalog, it looks like, instead of simple part organizer. Simple part organizer should be the one, I guess, that has the filters there that you've seen me use. It's used in our editor, and I truly apologize for that if I credited it wrong. I will double check and make sure which one I have. Ran both. One of these was the filter one, and one of them is the splitting it up into categories, and they both won't run at the same time. And I will find out which one goes with that. Finally, we've got the sub-assembly manager. You haven't seen me use that yet. I do use it on occasion. I also use just loading in a previous rocket and pulling the pieces off I need. However, you've seen the issue I had with that. I accidentally just saved over one of my other rockets. Now, idea with sub-assembly manager, you can build your rockets and piece them together. The problem I've had with sub-assembly manager is when I built a lot of my rockets that I'm using now, I didn't quite know how to use sub-assembly manager. Your parent part, whatever part you put down first, is the only part that can attach when you load it from sub-assembly. So ideally you start with a decoupler and then build everything underneath that or above that, depending on where you're going to attach it in your final rockets. And then when you load it in there, you can attach that piece. The problem I have is I didn't know about that, and so a lot of my parent pieces are at the top, and I built down thinking I could just stack them up anyway, and I can't, so I'd have to put them in upside down, and so I just haven't went through and redesigned all my rockets for it. So, and that's our game data plugins or mods that we're using. Oh, we also have Infernal Robotics. This is a fun mod. It lets you put parts in that move. You can put in arm joints and stuff like that, and build robotic arms. And I played a little bit around with building robotic arms. I haven't used it too much in a build yet. I almost used it, we seen last time, for building a little arm that would help deploy our rovers. Um, but you know, we had the issue there of getting it to fall right, and we eventually did get it to fall correctly and load up. But you know, we're coming in kind of close there. Okay, we're good. I think we're gonna make it. So we haven't used that yet. We'll probably use that for something here. It's a nice mod. It's something to have as an option. You know. All right, we are. I think we're landed. Now, my original plan was to actually drive this thing a little closer, um, but you know, we just realized that with this rover platform not having any batteries or anything on it, we can't really drive it. So that's going to be something for the next time. Ooh, detach. I want to detach real quickly there before we flipped over. End flight, so we don't have the debris laying around. We're going to do a little cleanup of the debris while we're in the tracking station. It looks like we have 11 pieces of debris. So we'll just kill this. I really wish there was a mod, and there might be, and if there is, please in the comments let me know, of a mod that will just clear out all this debris in one click. I don't know, I do a bit of programming myself. I'm actually a programmer for my job. Maybe I will sit down and actually program the mod in myself, but if there is one out there, I would really like one where you just hit one button and it goes clear all debris. Why, yes, and then all your debris is gone, and life is good. But for now, we have to do it. So one rocket parts debris. I'm really hoping we didn't just clear out our rover. 13 days. No, where is? Oh no, I think we might have cleared out our landing. Oh no. We went to the Space Center. Again, this is why we save, for when we make mistakes like that. And again, the perils of talking and playing at the same time. Um, let's go over to our base and see if our... Man, if our part we just landed there is still there, if it counted it as debris because it had no resources on it. I think that's how it determines if it's debris. Oh no, good, it's still there. All right, so we can switch over to it. We're going to need a Kerbal. We only got one left back in here. Whoa, 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 whoa. Break. See, this is the air I was talking about in the other here. Because those are docked, we were able to stop it. Alright. And this is one of the things I thought about using quantum struts for, attaching it to the ground to fix that error. But we need to make sure this is released. Are those undocked? No, we're in docked mode. And our brakes are on now. We do need to release this just a bit. We do have some tension extend. There we go. We're good now. Alright, so let's switch over to... yeah, we're going to use this one. He's already out on EVA. There was one mod I saw that I thought about putting on that basically made you have oxygen and stuff on board for your Kerbals. But I thought, you know, that might just add too much difficulty for me at this point, um, because of all these bases and stuff I'm putting into play. I know I'd be running out of oxygen. I felt I would probably be running more oxygen drop-off missions than I would be anything else. So, alright, let's stop our rover, and we are going to eject, leave seat. And this is one of those reasons, like I said, I like using the KAS for docking instead of just driving up and attaching it, because it forces me to get out. Now, unfortunately, we're kind of in a bad spot. All our docking ports are over there, and we are over here. Huh. Now, this wouldn't have been a problem if we had put some electricity and stuff on our rover. I'm pretty sure it requires energy for the engines. We're going to give it a try, but I'm pretty sure we're not going to be able to control this because we don't have any batteries. And I may off camera throw batteries on one of these and relaunch it, just so you guys don't have to watch that again. But so we have a maneuverable one up here. Okay, we are on there. Oh, we do have just a bit of an electrical charge. Great. So let's get this landing gear up, and hopefully we can get this into position before we run out of power. And that's good that we do have some electrical storage on here. That's great, because we can always recharge while we are docked. So we may be okay. We are going to back this up. Beep, 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 beep. I need a little beeper for the backup. Alright, oops. And for those of you watching, one thing you will notice, I do make sound effects. Trust me, the beeping helps it back up better. So, and this is how you do a 20-point turn for all you driver's ed people. Alright. We should be lined up pretty good now. If we just back up, look, more debris. That is the remainders of our last endeavor, where we had to detach to be able to get this guy out and on Eva. Whee! Alright. Yes, the Wii helps him land better. I see I didn't Wii enough, and he crashed. Alright, well, let's grab our docking. And for those of you who haven't watched the other episodes, I'm going to show you once again the bug with Kerbal attachment system. I think it's a bug. Could just be my misunderstanding of how it works, but I consider it a bug. When we grab this connector and attach it, when you plug it in, if you plug it in docked, it has a tendency to pull this vehicle towards it and everything. So we plug it in undocked, right? And then we can switch over to our vehicle here. And when we open the GUI, the way I found to do this is to show GUI, release some slack out. That way we have not as much tension in there, and then hit the dock. And what that does, and we're going to do another release, is you see how it dropped there? It actually tightens the cable a little bit when you dock. And if you are you know, when you're docked like that, if you're doing it from the plugged-in sense and you don't have that cable released, it'll pull you right into it. And I've tried releasing it from Eva. There's an option to release it, and it just doesn't seem to work. So hold on one moment while I take care of a phone call. All right, guys, I am back. Usually I won't take calls on the stream, but I have one rule, and that is never ignore a call from your wife. And that was her calling, so some things have to take precedence. So I did something there while I was talking on the phone. You see me click on the rocket part assembler, and we are now making rocket parts. I'm so excited. I do see one issue here. I have used all but two. Well, I've used two of my four connection ports. The other one here is on top. Now, the last rover I had landed up here, I had put extra dockable connection ports, so ones you can just snap on anywhere. I did just realize on this new rover that I had built that I don't think I put any on, which is sad because I don't really want to have to go up top every time I want to dock and undock this. So one of these future landings, and I don't know if we're landing another one over here now or not, but one of these future landings we are going to have to make sure we bring up some of those attachable docks. Perhaps maybe our fuel load when we drop our fuel off for the rocket launcher up there. So, because we have to dock this in order to get it, and I don't think you can dock with the do resource transfers with electromagnet. At least I couldn't get it to work. I thought originally you could, but I wasn't able to get it to work. So we are going to store a grabbed part in there, and we're getting pretty close to a wrapping up point again here. We just hit the 30-minute mark. I know a little bit of that was the phone call, but I want to get this docked, and I want to get some rocket parts onto our rover here. And I think that's what we'll wrap up. Once we get our rocket parts loaded here, we'll be good. I'm going to do a quick save real quick. And the reason I'm quick saving here, I try to quick save when I know there's a possibility of something going wrong. And before, when I was loading my rockets, and this actually caused me to rebuild my rockets, we had an issue where when we went into time warp, because it took a while to mine up the stuff and to make the parts and everything, you know, when I loaded all the ore, when I time warped, my rover here kept dipping into the ground. Now I'm thinking that the reason it kept smashing into the ground was because of the weight, and I think the rocket parts are going to be a lot lighter, and I'm hoping this is the reason, than the rocket parts going to be a lot lighter than the ore and the metal was, which we tried loading onto it. And so that was the reason we built the smelter over here and the rocket parts, and we rebuilt the sled to just carry rocket parts. But you know, I'm hoping that was the case. And if this doesn't work, if we're not able to transfer our rocket parts from this rover, because the idea is that once the rocket parts are built, we're going to use this rover and go on a long drive over to the other base and drop them off, and this will kind of be the shuttle between the two. So I'm just really hoping this works well. I'm hoping that our cart doesn't sink into the ground like it did before, and I'm hoping that I can time warp. So I'm going to dock up here. Oh, smash. Oh, look at that. We landed on the... I was trying to do that, land on the connection port. Yeah, that's just how MLGIM. Whoa! And look at that. We went right over. Hey, Kerbal's able to leap tall drilling platforms in a single bound, as long as you have rockets attached to your back. Land up there. All right, we are landed. Zoom in a bit, and we are going to, of course, again, plug undocked, and then back over here. Oh, come on. Jump. Jump. Lift off. Okay, and there we are. Ooh, we're gonna crash, we're gonna crash, we're gonna crash. Oh, faceplant. How are you doing in fuel? 68%. Those you don't know, your Kerbals do have fuel. It appears they recharge it when they go inside of a module. I don't know if that actually takes from your your monopropellant and stuff like that, or if it just automatically refuels when it goes back inside. But apparently we're not close enough. Board. All right, there is our winch and our dock, and we are winch 0. We are going to rename this. Why? Because once we get docked, we need to know what it is. So this is going to be the rover. We're going to set that. Rename a winch. That one. Set. There we are. We now named it rover. Now, when we tell this to dock, you'll see we have winch 0, winch 1, and we didn't rename those correctly. And we want to release this. There we go. So we don't know which is which, and we'll rename those here in a bit. I'm pretty sure winch 0 is our smelter, so let's just name that smelter. And I'm pretty sure this is the workshop. And so we're just going to rename this workshop. Perfect. All right. So we are now should be loading up our rocket parts into here. What we're going to do to make sure they get loaded here, because this does have rocket part storage, and we don't want to load it evenly. We want to load our rocket or our sled first. So we can do resource transfers. We click there, and then we have to find our rocket parts over here. And I think, so we have ore. Okay, so our rocket parts storage is over here. This is because I thought this made rocket parts, so we put a lot of rocket part storage here. And see, that one is full, so we can actually hold down Alt and right click, and you'll get 2 open. And this is how you do resource transfers, and we want them to go into here. So we click the in button, and you can see it starts sucking out of there and filling up this one here. And you can see our camera changing. This is because our center of mass is changing. These parts do weigh quite a bit, you know, and so we're changing our center of mass as we transfer everything out. All right, and so we did our first transfer. We have two parts on here. Oh, see, and we can see we're starting to break already. That's just too much. So, wow, we're not going to be able to transfer that many parts at once. Bummer. So we are going to have to drop some parts back off over here until this kind of lightens up a bit and stops trying to fall through. Whoa. Out. How many are we going to be able to transport with this cart? At least 100. Come on, at least 100. Okay, we're coming up a bit. We're still kind of bouncy. Stop. Wow, we're only going to be able to transport 75. We will probably either need to land our launcher over here, or we're going to need to come up with a better cart for transferring these. It just doesn't seem to want to work that way, and it's a real shame. I mean, I knew they were going to be heavy, but I thought this cart would be able to handle them. And you know, you can see we're sagging. It's pushing this weight down into the ground, and I'm afraid that as we're driving, it's just not going to handle it. And I don't know how to fix that right offhand. And so we're going to see if everything works well. We're going to undock our rover. We are going to test this out first. Where are we at? We're on the debris. This is one of the reasons I like to clean up my debris usually, so I can see where I'm at. All right. Make sure we are undocked. We want to unplug and then retract. Whoa, 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 whoa. Okay, I keep forgetting that does have drag and will pull things. All right, well, let's see how this cart drives. We may need to build a better cart. And I'm not sure why this is such a weak connection between the cart and that platform. But we are dragging, so okay, we just ripped off part of our bottom, and there's the explode. All right, and this is why we saved, guys. Because I was concerned about that weight and this cart, and it just seems that this cart is not going to work as a transfer device. We may actually have to build a small reusable rocket that we launch and drop parts over to. Um, you know, it just might be what we have to do. I thought the other would be a lot easier because we wouldn't have to rely on refueling so much with the lift, taking off from the mun here and landing over at the other. But I mean, we got to do what we got to do. This cart here just is not strong enough to carry any meaningful amount of parts. And I don't know if we added some struts or something to help stabilize it. The problem is it's really, really hard to test because, again, these come out empty and there's no way to start them off full. And without them being full, we don't know how much it weighs until we actually land it on the mun and test it out. So we're just going to use this, I guess, as a utility cart. We'll use it for mostly pulling things over and just driving around. Maybe some basic resource transfers. You know, I might redesign it and land this again. Well, maybe we'll take these rocket parts off the back sled. We'll put 2 winches on it. We'll add in some undockable cables parts, and we'll maybe just use this as a resource one for moving things around. So anyway, we landed on the mun. We got our rocket parts building at least. They are manufacturing. If we pull up our resources here, let's get on. There we go. We pulled on our resources. You can see most of our mass is over here because of all the parts. We're almost full on rocket parts. Our drill is plugging along. We're using a little bit more energy than we're producing right now. No, sorry, we're gaining a little bit more energy than we're producing, which is good. I think we have enough batteries on here that when we're on the dark side of the mun, we'll still continue to mine. I'm not 100% sure if the ore processes while it's going. I know as soon as we turn on this drill, our energy is going to go down. So it doesn't look like we can drill and make rocket parts at the same time. We lose just a touch of energy, more than we're producing when we're on the light side. We need this time to recharge our batteries, really. So we are full on rocket parts, so we are going to deactivate this rocket part. There we are. All right, that gives us a bit of energy. We're using, again, producing just a bit more than we're using, which is good. We are filling up on metal. The ore is getting immediately converted over to metals. So we'll let this go. So I think we're going to call it here. We got our parts. We've got 850 stored over here, which is just a great amount of parts. I'll think of some solution between now and next episode on how to get these parts over there, and we'll go from there. So this is XL Casper signing off, and I hope you guys have fun.